again, coming back to David's point about heating being the worst, here we have a typical home. You can see where the energy leaking is. Really, this is a UV effect. This is heat coming out. It's not lighting waste. We can see that homes really do lose their heat. One solution that is proposed is the geothermal. You may know this is not covered particularly highly. It's not widely reported. Geothermal heating uses the differential in temperature between the earth and at different depths, and it runs water through piping systems in homes. They're used in many different countries. In Iceland, for instance, they get 80% of their home heating comes from geothermal systems. It's very small. I mean, I would say about 1.5% maybe of Irish places and renewables use this, but it's a very effective way of countering that huge heating bill. Costs are around maybe say 12,000 for an average home, but the payback period is between 5 and 12 years, and also for industry. So this is something that actually will pay back. It's 400% efficient. So for every kilowatt hour of electricity you give to it, it will cut back 4, whereas nuclear power is nowhere near that efficient. And so it is a huge potential to really cut into the energy there. This is, again, you can even have larger ones that generate electricity. That's just pure steam. That's just water coming from the earth. And so there's no pollution whatsoever besides the construction costs of the plant. They're all over Iceland. It's completely how that they can fund it. And again, trees. We mentioned that 4% can be reduced. But what can also be happening is we could just plant more trees. If you increase the UK forest from 4%, they say it could account for 10% of the carbon emissions being recaptured. So that's certainly another possibility. So overall, we say that nuclear power is not the way to go. But thank you very much for your time.
Well, I'd like to thank very much all our speakers. Now I'm just going to open up any questions that you have from the floor. After this, we're going to know who you believe has the best argument. If you wouldn't mind, whenever you're addressing questions, if you have any questions, would you tell me who it's directed towards, and we can direct it towards even an individual in particular if it came up in their argument. So, any questions then from the audience? Anybody have any really strong opinions? Thank you.
This is really a question for you all. How about saving more energy?
Okay, I'd agree that ideally, yes, we would all save energy, but there's really only so far that we can take that in Ireland before it starts to really become questions of, well, what sort of lifestyle do we want to have? There's things that, in the mass media we hear about how we should change our light bulbs over, and that makes an improvement, but not a significant one. You can go on to things such as loft insulation, but that's sort of long term. Everybody has that now, and for about the last 7 years or so, we keep hearing about savings of turning your thermostat lights down by 1 degree. Well, how many years can you keep doing that? Because, sorry, do you want to...
Could I just stop you there? What I'm really talking about is zero energy homes, which are already a possibility, say, in Germany. Just, so that 1600 is sort of eliminated.
Well, that's not really strictly speaking true that there's zero energy. They're more energy efficient, but they do still require a large input of energy into them, yeah. Well, I see you're shaking your head, but if somebody could, show me how you can do that in your house, because it's always going to have losses for heating, and even in parts of Germany they'll have air conditioning as well. But yeah, you're not going to get down to zero. It's just no chance of that.
Well, very close. And they extract all the heat that's going out. There's, air exchanges for a start. And we ourselves actually, we're radiating heat. Our own heat is actually just being lost. If you have treble glazing plus all the other things, these are possibilities, and we're not looking at them. I'm saying instead of looking at nuclear energy, why not look at more of these kinds of things?
Well, yeah, the human body gives
say yes, it perhaps theoretically 0% may or may not be achievable. But I think from the government's new budget, we saw Sir Darling, he gave the new budget £900, I believe, tax-free credits for 120,000 new homes. They got their new boiler. Now, new boilers as such aren't as efficient as, say, the geothermal systems that we've been talking about. But this sort of initiative, along with in America, they have, I think it's Berkeley, and about 10 other states put up legislation to allow basically an interest-free loan on solar panels and solar installation. So I guess I would really support, and we would support a government funding of loans for homeowners in order to take advantage of these, because as we can see, the heating costs far outweighs that of electricity and far outweighs that of nuclear power considered.
No, I think we're all just talking about different ways of replacing energy that we